Hi, everyone. Um, we have been in camp meeting at my grandma's church for the last couple of days. And this morning, see, the Lord will speak to you at times. And sometimes He'll tell you to do some of the silliest things. And I remember when I was a young, it was probably 16, 17, I would always hear the Lord tell me to go do some silly things. Like I would walk out of the house and he'd say, go back and turn off the light. And I'm like, Lord, why that the light really doesn't matter. Why do I have to go back and turn the light off? But I'd hear it and I'd go back and I'd turn the light off. And then about, a couple of weeks later, I would hear the Lord say, go back and turn the light off. And I would say, Lord, I mean, really, is it that big of a deal for me to have to go and turn the light off? I mean, that's really not a huge word or a life-changing word. And I remember what the Lord was speaking to me. He said, I'm trying to train you. And if you'll let me train you to hear my voice, I'll allow you to hear it. I'll enhance what you're hearing. I'll give you bigger words. If you can obey the small things, if you can go and turn the light off, it does matter. It does matter. Every little command matters. It's let me train you. And I was like, oh man. And so at that time, I had been praying. At that time in our church, we didn't have a lot of people hearing the voice of the Lord. We didn't have a lot of people that were operating in the gifts, and I would see my parents pour out and bless people and encourage people. And I remember crying. They would sit down on the altar, and there was not very many people that could speak a word of encouragement to them. And I remember saying, Lord, if you give me that gift, I'll encourage them. I just want to help. And honestly, that is my heart's desire. That's the only reason I even do these. It's the only reason I do anything that I do, because I just want to help. I just want to be a help to anybody. And so, anyway, I was crying out. And I said, Lord, if you bless me with this gift, I'll encourage them. And I don't want any glory for it. I just want to encourage them. And then a few weeks passed or months passed or whatever, and I walked out of the room and left the light on again, and the Lord was speaking to me. He was like, go back and turn the light off. And I was like, Lord, this really is not that big of a deal. And here I am rebellious. I'm rebelling against God because he wants me to turn the light off. And so I went back in there and I told him, or I went and turned the light off, because I always did it. I might have kicked and screamed doing it, or, but I went in there and I turned it off. And the Lord was like, look, you said you wanted to help them. Why don't you help the electricity bill also? And I just kind of laughed because the Lord's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I was crying out to help. Yet, I didn't want to turn the light on or light off. And he's trying to train me. Just listen to me. Just do what I tell you to do. I don't care how stupid it looks. I don't care how small it looks. I don't care how foolish you feel doing it. Listen to me and I'll train you. And so anytime anybody ever asks me about listening to the Lord, I'm like, listen to the small things. Listen to the small things. If he tells you to turn off the light, you go listen and you turn that light off. If he tells you to take an exit right now, and it's not even your exit, take the exit right now. He is trying to train you. And so even like today really blessed me. We've been in camp meeting for the last few days at my grandma's church, and I was sitting there in my seat, and the preacher had come up and he started to minister. And it's not time to go to the altar. It's not time to it's not time to pray. It's time to listen to the word. And the Lord spoke to me while I was sitting on the seat, and he said, I want you to go up there to the altar, and I want you to get in that specific spot. And I said, well, Lord, I don't really want to go up there right now. Can I wait until he gets done with his message? Um, and he was saying, no, he was just putting that tug on my spirit. He was like, look, what if I brought all the prayers that you have been praying? What if I answered every single one of the things that you have been praying about today, just because you go and you put yourself in the position that I asked you to be in? And I was sitting there fighting with myself, It's like, well, they might think that there's something wrong, or and he was like, no, it doesn't matter. Just go and get where I told you to go. Go position yourself in the place that I told you to position yourself. No matter how foolish, no matter how crazy, no matter what anybody says or anybody does, and just go get in position. And so, I was like, okay. And I'm learning. There's sometimes that he has to tell me a couple of times, but I'm learning, try to do it as quick as possible without arguing in your mind with him. And so I'm a work in progress with that. But I got up and I went and I just sat there and I sat there and I sat there and I prayed and I just soaked in, and I didn't get up until the service was dismissed, because I wanted to stay in that place, in that position where God had told me to go. And it may seem foolish, it may seem crazy, but if you listen to God, you're going to see miraculous things take place in your life. You're going to see miracles. You're going to see the hand of God. You're going to see the favor of God on your life. And I just want to encourage you, if you can't obey those small things, if I couldn't obey going up there to the altar and just sitting there, just kneeling down there, just praying, if I can obey that, then it's not even, the prayers that I've been praying. If I'm in disobedience in that one spot, those prayers, he doesn't really even have to bring them forth. He doesn't have to answer those prayers if I'm in disobedience in any area of my life. So we have to learn that we have to listen to his every command, big or small. And sometimes we think, well, that's not affecting anything. That's not helping anything. That's not helping the service. That's not helping. It doesn't matter. If he said to do it, just do it. And I'm preaching to myself. If he said to do it, just do it. And I don't care how crazy it looks. He's training you. And if you are too anointed to be trained, you're not anointed at all. If you're too educated to just sit down where he told you to sit down, then you're not educated at all. You don't know anything. If you can't hear the voice of the Lord and just obey it. A lady was talking about that at church. When God gave Saul a command, Saul did it the way he wanted to do it. He didn't do it the way God told him to do it. We have to do it the way God told us to do it. And I would have been out of position. The Lord told me specifically where to go when I went and knelt down. So I had to go and kneel down in that specific position. And if I would have went over there and got in a different position, it would not have been as effectual as the complete obedience of what he told me to do. And I haven't seen the manifestation of what's going to come forth out of that. But even if he doesn't manifest anything, just hearing his voice is enough. Just hearing him and knowing that he's guiding me in everything, whether it looks crazy or not. Just knowing that he cares enough to speak to me is payment enough. With that is blessing enough. To hear his voice is valuable. And I heard a woman of God say, you know what? She said, God's voice is a big deal. When God tells you something, it's a big deal. And it's time to start obeying it. It's time to start writing it down when God gives you a word. It's time to start meditating on that day and night. And so I just want to encourage you, let God train you. Let God train you. I've been in training for a long time. I'm 31 now, and he started really speaking to me at 16, and I tried to hide. I've tried to run. I backslid. I gave up on him a little bit, but he never gave up on me. And I thank God. I thank God for his voice. It's very valuable, and it's precious. And if you will allow him to train you in those small things and quit fighting him. If you're fighting him, there's still a little bit of rebellious nature in your. If you're fighting him, there's still a little bit of pride. If you're fighting him, there's still a little bit of distrust there. And so that's been one of my prayers this whole year. Lord, break those things. Break that distrust in me. Break that pride. Break the rebellion out of me. Don't allow me to operate in those things any longer, even if it's just a tad, even if it's just a little bit, even if there's just one little flake in there. Lord, get it out of me where I can just be totally submissive to whatever you say and do it the first time. Sometimes we're waiting and he's having to tell us 3, 4, 5 times. And hey, I'm guilty of that. There's times that I'm just freaking out. He has to tell me for months. He'll tell me for months, and I'll say, okay. And he breaks me down. He knows how to break me down. He knows how to melt me down. And I thank God that he doesn't get angry and agitated and whatnot. It just, the harder you fight against it, the more delay that you have to go through. So you're really delaying yourself. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't get upset, because he's having to tell you over and over again. He's not getting irritated with you. It's just causing a delay because he can't take you to that place that you want, and he can't give you some answers to your prayers like you want at that specific time because you're not heeding to it. You're not being trained. You're not allowing him to train you. And so I just encourage you, let him train you. Let his voice train you. And your prayers can be answered. And the things that you've been desiring can come forth. And the delay can be broken off of your life. And so I just encourage y'all, it really blessed me this morning. Be positioned where God wants you positioned. And when he says to get in a specific position, just, do it. When I was down there and I was kneeling down, the Lord said, just position at my feet. Position where I told you to position, and I'll bless you. How hard is that? Even with Naaman, Sister Carol had been ministering on Naaman, and Naaman, he wanted God to do something big and flashy and fancy and something that really showed the power of God. But Elisha came out and he said, Naaman, go dip in the river 7 times. And Naaman was so upset. How dare him? He didn't even wave his hand. He didn't do any kind of flashy thing. He sent me to dip in a river. Something silly, something stupid. He's telling me to do something stupid. And then one of his servants said, well, if he would have asked you to do something great, wouldn't you have done it? If he would have asked you to do something big, wouldn't you have done it to get your healing? And Naaman thought about it, and he said, yeah, you're right. And so Naaman went down and he dipped 7 times in obedience, in position. He couldn't go to a different river. See, he was decreed, go to the Jordan River. And so he went to the Jordan River and positioned exactly where God told him to be. He dipped 7 times and he came up healed of leprosy. And sometimes your healings are waiting on your obedience. your prayers and everything that you're desiring is waiting on you to just obey and be in position where God told you to be in position. So this has been a really long video, but just be encouraged and position yourself where God said position. Y'all have a good day.